The 30th day of Shevat, corresponding to the 25th day of February 2020. The Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit writes, or Megillah rather, Mehillah, Mishenichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. The Gemara writes, like in the month of Av, the Halacha writes, Mishenichnas Av Mema'atim Besimcha. When the month of Adar arrives, we decrease in happiness and joy. Mishenichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. With the arrival of the month of Adar, we increase in happiness. There are many reasons why the topic of happiness is especially for the month of Adar. And I believe that we all will agree that the reason is basically the celebration of Purim, that Be'ezat Hashem will be exactly 2 weeks from today. Megillah reading Be'ezat Hashem will be Monday evening, and Tuesday will be the day of Purim. Now, there are many reasons for the Simcha of the month of Adar. Number one, our survival from a threat that, as we have discussed in the past, the threat of Haman was perhaps the worst threat ever activated against Am Israel, as the Pasuk says in the Megillah, or if you look in the Siddurim, especially in the prayer of Al Nisim, the Pasuk says, Lehashmid, Laharog, Ulabed, et kol ha-Yehudim, mina'ar be'ad zaken, taf benashim, beyom echad, ushlalam laboz. The Pasuk says, literally, to erase, to annihilate, to wipe out the Jewish people from young to old, children, ladies, and obviously the main prize besides getting rid of the Jewish people physically is to take over whatever the Jewish people left behind. So definitely, although Haman, regretfully, he had competitors throughout life who seek the same goal of the destruction of Am Israel, but I don't believe that anyone came close in a single day to literally destroy Am Israel. Be'ezat Hashem, as the days go by and we're getting closer to Purim, we'll discuss Haman and company and the day that he picked and the tragedy that Baruch Hashem was able to be reversed. As the Megillat Esther says, Benafohu, what it was supposed to be a moment of tragedy, a moment of darkness, it was reversed into joy and salvation. They say in the name of the Baal Shem Tov that many times the gates of prayer are closed, and for spiritual blockings that may exist, tears can open the gates, but simcha, happiness, break down the barriers, which this is a very deep concept that our rabbis tell us, the concept of experiencing simcha in the month of Adar. Although simcha should be something that is part of everyday life, but definitely when it comes to the month of Adar, it should be magnified. Not only that, there are many segulot written about the month of Adar. I received one segullah earlier today that says that a person, any situation that comes across their life in the month of Adar, should minimize the drama, should tackle it in a positive way, and this is a good omen, a good benefit, that throughout the entire year, fear and anxiety will not pay us a visit. Regretfully, these are things that people sadly have in their life. Many people, they worry if it's cloudy, they worry if it's sunny, they worry if there is a traffic. Worry is the middle name. We know people like that, regretfully, that do exist. And we feel bad for those that have that kind of personality. Why? Because it's always dark. They see darkness all around. They don't see the goodness. They don't see the positive. What do they see? Shehora ani venava, the way the Pasuk says in Shir Hashirim. So we have the power of the Gemara that says, Mishenichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, She'akol Nihiyah Bidbaro. So I heard, I never saw it in writing, but I heard in the name of the Hatam Sofer, great rabbi, who lived maybe 200 years ago, give or take, and he speaks about the other Gemara that says, Mishenichnas Av Mema'atim Besimcha. This is the way we read it. From the onset of Av, we decrease in happiness. So he says, that's not a good idea. Why? Because sadness, it's an enemy of the spirit. There was a great rabbi by the name of Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk. And it says that sadness, it's mahalat hanefesh, is a spiritual deficiency. That he says that, and we're not minimizing, sometimes people may have sadness, justifiably so. But it says that sadness can bring down the person in a way that even the worst transgression of the Torah cannot achieve. In other words, what happens when a person does an avon? It's like we cut one tiny wire. But if you solder the wire together, or you tie the wire together with electrical tape, you can fix it. But what happens if you don't cut any wire and you remove the chip from the motherboard? You remove the processor from the motherboard. What's going to be? The system will not work. That's what he says that sadness is. So the Hatam Sofer says, Mishenichnas Av Mema'atim, when the month of Av arrives and we feel the sadness, you know how we reverse the sadness? With Simcha. Shlomo HaMelech says, Beshibachti ani et Simcha. I praise joy. I praise happiness. Why? I think we all agree, Rashi, but Rashi says very simple. Because when you do something in a joyous manner, you'll do it. You'll do it good. You'll do it right. You'll do it from the get-go. Procrastination, in a way, is connected when something we don't want to do. And I think that we can relate to that as well. I'll quote some ideas very briefly that the Sefer Toda'ah brings down in the topic of Mazal Adar. We know every month, let me do this. I'm going to reverse the order a bit. I'm going to go back to the fish soon. In honor of Rosh Chodesh, you have fish. In honor of Rosh Chodesh Adar, you have fish. Because Mazal Adar, Dagim. The Mazal of Adar is a fish. And we'll explain in a few moments, God willing, how is the relationship between Adar and the fish. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Today is Rosh Chodesh. So what's a Rosh, right? Beautiful. So let's go quickly to quote a couple of sources, especially from the Moed Kol Hai, and it says, "Achodesh hazeh shivto binyamin." The start of the month, as we learned many times in the days of Rosh Chodesh, every Rosh Chodesh has a shevet. 12 months, 12 shevatim. Every month has a different tribe that runs the show, so to speak. And the official version is, says Rabbi Moed Kol Hai, that the tribe that runs the month of Adar is Shevet Binyamin. And we understand the reason why. Because since at the end of the day, the miracle of Purim happened through Mordechai and Esther. Mordechai and Esther were descendants from Shevet Binyamin. Is a pasuk in the Megillah that I'm sure the Kahal knows. Ish Yehudi haya b'Shushan Abira, ushmo Mordechai ben Yair ben Shimei ben Kish Ish Yemini. Ish Yemini means from the tribe of Binyamin. So we understand right away that Binyamin and Mordechai are direct relationship. We go through many generations. Shimei ben Gera, Kish was the father of Shaul HaMelech, so Mordechai was actually a direct descendant of King Shaul, which is the one who regretfully the kingdom was removed from Shaul HaMelech due to the fact that he failed to execute Agag, the king of Amalek, and regretfully from Agag, Haman was born. That's why it's called Haman ben Hamedata Ha'agagi. So now if you think for a moment, when Mordechai and Haman meet, this is round 2. This is round 2. Let me do the drawing here quickly. And I'm not gonna write all the names of all the characters and all the people that are instrumental in this, but I think I write the highlights of this, what I'm going to say now. So we have Shevet Binyamin and Esav. For everybody's peace of mind, the Perashah in Sefer Bereshit writes that Mordechai, that Yaakov Avinu was getting ready to meet Esav after 20 years of separation. The Torah tells us that all the sons of Yaakov Avinu bowed down to Esav, with one exception, Binyamin. Min Hashamayim, Binyamin was not born yet. Rachel was pregnant with Binyamin, but he was not born yet. So Binyamin was the only one who did not really bow down to Esav. And this is important because the merit of Binyamin not bowing down to Esav gave the power to Mordechai not to bow down to Haman. As the Pasuk writes in Megillat Esther, Mordechai lo yichra' ve'lo yishtahave. Mordechai does not negotiate with terrorism. Mordechai doesn't bow down, doesn't prostrate to Haman. Like Binyamin did not, Mordechai did not. And this is important to say. Why? I'm going to put this down for a minute. Just I'm going to illustrate an interesting pasuk in the Torah. The Perashah tells us, and I know that I'm traveling from Sefer Bereshit to Perashah Shelach, but you have a round trip ticket. We're coming back to Bereshit soon. Now, it's important to understand what I'm going to say now because everything matches. Everything matches. Thank you so much. Hazao Baruch. Beseder Gamur. Beseder Gamur. They should be around the property. One is sitting next to me. One is sitting to my right. 2 seats down. Remember when Moshe Rabbeinu was preparing the Meragelim, the 12 spies to be sent to Israel? The Pasuk says, Vaikra Moshe leHosheya bin Nun Yehoshua. Moshe called Hosea Yehoshua. Rashi says, why Yehoshua? Ya Yoshiacha mi'esat ha'meragelim. May God spare you from the plan, from the threat of the Meragelim. Now, the Mefarshim ask, why did Moshe Rabbeinu pray only for Yehoshua? You pray for your whole team. What was the fear of Moshe Rabbeinu with Yehoshua bin Nun? There are many answers, but there is one answer that we hardly speak about. Do you know who was the great-grandfather of Yehoshua bin Nun? Yosef HaSaddik. And what was the problem? Wait, relax. Let me do the talking. That's why I said before, I'm gonna throw in names which are relevant. Now, okay, so your great-grandfather was Yosef HaSaddik. You should be very happy, right? Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm concerned. Because Yosef spoke Lashon Hara, about his brothers. And maybe Lashon Hara is a contagious disease, or the DNA, the bacteria of Lashon Hara, may be alive in Yehoshua, and Yehoshua, being a direct descendant of Yosef, will be talking Lashon Hara about the land of Israel, because he knows that if the people don't want to travel to Israel, we're going to stay in the desert. And if we're going to stay in the desert, my life will be prolonged instead of being shortened. This is the reason why Moshe prayed to Yoshua, for Yoshua, that the avon of Lashon Hara, the DNA, the bacteria, let's call them better, the bacteria of Lashon Hara should not suddenly become activated in the spirit of Yoshua bin Nun. Do you know the difference in time between Yosef Sadiq and Yoshua bin Nun? Make the number. We were in Egypt 210 years. So that alone, we're talking about 210. But this is when Yosef Sadiq passed away. That was even before. Add another 80 or 90 years, already 300 and change. Don't be technical. When I speak, I beg you, respectfully, don't be technical. In other words, I'm throwing in numbers and information so we are able to understand. Moshe Rabbeinu says, yes, even 300 years later, maybe that sleeping dormant cell of Lashon Hara may activate itself, and then Yoshua purposely or unintentionally may create a disaster for Am Israel. You follow me so far? Let's come back to Bereshit. Binyamin did not bow down to Esav. That gave the Kedusha of Binyamin acting in that way, that Mordechai does not bow down. But remember, in the middle of this story, we have a great man, Shaul HaMelech. But Shaul regretfully failed to remove Agag. Who killed Agag? Shemuel HaNavi. What happened that extra day that Shaul allowed Agag to live? Agag's wife became pregnant. And from that pregnancy, a baby was born. And from that baby, another baby was born. And from that, another baby was born. Another baby was born. And then who comes? The one and only Haman. So this is the sequel. You know, like Amavdil Ben Kodesh Lehol, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. Round 1, round 2, round 3. Mordechai comes to finish the mission that his great-great-great-grandfather did not execute. If Shaul would have gotten rid of Agag, who knows what would have been the face of history. Obviously, there is a driver in the seat of life, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But I'm only telling you why the Megillah mentions the lineage of Mordechai. Mordechai came to finish up an unfinished mission. He came to make the tikkun of Shaul. I'm going to throw you one more thing, since you are such a good audience. I wasn't thinking of speaking about it, but since the Megillah speaks about it, I can afford to speak about it. Remember Mordechai? Let's say the pasuk together. Ish Yehudi haya b'Shushan bira ushmo Mordechai. Let me write it. Ben Yair, Ben Shimei, Ben Kish, Ish Yemini. Okay? I'm tuning the Megillah so we can be mentally ready. I'm already listening to the Megillah daily, so when I come to read the Megillah, B'ezrat Hashem, I'll be, God willing, with your zechut and Hashem's help, in the proper track. Now, let's explain quickly Okay, let's start from the bottom. The Megillah says Yemini. The Gemara in Megillah dissects this pasuk, explaining the meaning of each word. I'm not going to share with you that version. I'm going to just tell you the hints of these words and how it matches humans. So we start from the bottom. We have Yemini is Binyamin. So far, so good. Kish was the father of Shaul HaMelech. Mordechai and Haman will leave Yair on the side, and then I have Shimei and David. Who was Shimei? You remember him? Shimei ben Gera. What did he do? Right, and he was the teacher of Shlomo HaMelech. But what did Shimei ben Gera do one day? He cursed David HaMelech. He's the one who cursed David. So guess what? What is the halacha? If a person curses the king, one-way ticket, hayamita. Now, if you look in the Pesukim, there was a fellow by the name of Abishai ben Seruya, who was an expert sniper in today's modern day. Right, with a sword. Sniper is with a rifle. With a sword, he was able to take a sword and penetrate it between the fifth and the sixth rib and makes damage straight to the heart, to the point that the victim will not realize what happened. This was the skill of Abishai ben Seruya. And he asked David HaMelech, David, do you give me the green light? I get rid of it in 1 second. He will not even know what hit him. David HaMelech says, God forbid. Hashem amar lo kalel. You think that he's cursing me? God is moving his mouth. And God is cursing me. Our rabbis tell us that the zechut of David HaMelech controlling himself in this incident enabled Mordechai to be born. Because if David executes Shimei ben Gera, you can say goodbye to Mordechai HaSaddiq. Mordechai HaSaddiq will have never be born. You follow? Again, distance of time. David, Mordechai. Do the numbers. David HaMelech, 410 years, first temple, 7 years of Galut. We're talking about minimum, without being technical, 500 and change years. And yet one self-control action. David had all the halachic backing to give the green light for Shimei ben Gera to be executed. It's like you, God forbid, insult someone or you hurt someone. What the halakha says, you need to go to the person, to the victim, and ask for forgiveness 3 times. If by the 3rd time there is no forgiveness from the other guy, that's it. It reverses. What happened if, God forbid, you had an argument and before you went to the guy to ask for forgiveness, the fellow died, God forbid. What are you supposed to do? You go to the cemetery with a minyan. Beautiful. What happens if you mistreated the rabbi? How many times do you need to go to ask forgiveness? Okay, you are generous. Minimum 1,000. Of course, that's the correct answer. So you know what is the rule in the king? And the rabbi can forgive and forget. The person can forgive and forget, with one exception. The king. Melech shemahal al kevodo, en kevodo mahul. There is no such a thing. You're going to mistreat the king, and you're going to ask forgiveness, after you stab him. David HaMelech was the exception. David HaMelech had such amount of emunah and irat shamayim that even when he could have justified, Isaac, you ask a question sometimes, and you ask the rabbi a question, and what the rabbi tells you, halachically, you're allowed to do it, but better don't do it. How many times you hear this answer? And they tell you, what do you want, the halacha, or you want the irat shamayim answer? I do this often with people, especially when it comes very gray areas of halacha. And it all depends on the person. For somebody, halakha is excellent. But somebody who wants Irat Shamayim answer, you go the extra mile. This is what happened in this situation between Shimei ben Gera and David HaMelech. That if David HaMelech will have activated his royal kingdom power of activating a halakha, we're not talking about a minhag, a tradition, or a costume. We're talking about halakha clearly written. Melech shemahal al kevodo en kevodo mahul. The king cannot forfeit his honor. Why not? Because the king represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when, God forbid, a person starts up with God in a negative way, what is the outcome? Execution. We saw it in the Perashah. Megadef. Remember that story? Perashah Be'alotecha, I believe. Or Shelach. No, not Shelach. Yes, Shelach. Yes, the guy who started to curse God because his father was the Egyptian that killed Moshe and his mother was the Jewish lady that was with the Egyptian. From this unfortunate relationship, a boy was born, and later on in life he came and wanted to settle in the tribe of his mother. And they told him, no, the settlement goes in the tribe of your father. But my father was a Gentile, so he became homeless, so to speak, and started to curse Moshe and eventually curse God. What is the halacha? Execution. The moment that a person utters a blasphemy against God, it breaks all levels of respect. Guess what? The next one on that line is the king of Israel. And yet David HaMelech says, you know what? If this is happening to me, David HaMelech says, something is going on. That self-control of David, when the executioner was standing next to him, saved the life of Mordechai and the eventual miracle of Purim. And Mordechai and Esther were connected, like it or not. So now we understand, going all the way, what Rabbi Chaim Palachi says. Ab Chodesh hazeh shivto Binyamin. Thank you so much. Yes, but that was happened later. Asita kechokmatecha was the pasuk that David HaMelech said to Shlomo concerning Shimei ben Gera, that later on he paid the price, but not on the spot. He was not an impulsive type of reaction that David HaMelech had. Good point. And it says that also, right, also we come across Yosef HaSaddiq, says Rabbi Chaim Palachi. Now, what's the connection of Yosef HaSaddiq with the month of Adar? The short answer is the fish. The fish is the symbol of Yosef HaSaddiq. As the pasuk says, the Yaakov Avinu says, "Hamalach hagoel oti mikol ra yevarech et hane'arim beikare bahem shemi b'shem avotai Abraham beYitzhak beitgu larov bekerev haaretz." Itgu is lashon dagim, the concept of being fruitful and multiply. And it says that a person needs also to follow the merit of Yosef HaSaddiq, especially when it comes to the topic of personal holiness, the topic of the Pegama Berit, etc. Now, another thing he says, Hanolad bechodesh Adar, the month of Adar is so powerful and so great that a person that is born in this month, en cheshafim sholtim bo, the power of black magic, of darkness, doesn't affect the person. Not only because everybody's mazal is ala ilyona, the mazal is on a high number, but the month of Adar, the one who is born in that month, it seems like he has or she has like an extra bonus. You know how many times people say, oh, I was born in Yom Kippur. How happy they feel, right? I was born in Pesach. How happy they feel. So it says here that a person that was born in the month of Adar, it comes with a certain advantage. But, hold on. But so now the advantage that you have, my birthday is in Adar, by the way. All right? Thank you. So you already know. My birthday, the 24th of Adar. So you already know in advance. You have 24 days to prepare yourself. Yes, you deal with it. Thank you. So it says, Hanolad b'chodesh hazeh. A person that is born in this month. מן הראוי להתאמץ בעבודת השם ובתורתו. It's expected from him and her to increase in Hashem serving, give tzedakah, דאית למעליותה מהחודש הזה, that individual or those individuals have an advantage on this month, מה שלא יש לשאר בני אדם, that others don't have that bonus of being born in the best month of the Jewish calendar. And it says, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu Abad lenisa denolad baze hazeman. It says God made a miracle with that particular soul born in the month of Adar. The Akira HaKadosh Baruch Hu gozer ala tipa shehiye bar kayama, because God approved and blessed that drop of zera from the Father released during the month of Adar, vehakol meito itbarach, and everything is guided directly by Hakadosh Baruch Hu. He goes on discussing many different patterns, but I think that we'll save this later on in the month of Adar, since he talks about Perashat Zachor and the different mitzvot of Purim. With all that being said, thank you so much. We're going to go quickly for a short few moments. We go to Sefer HaToda'ah, and it says that in this particular month, the nature of the water and the rivers causes a tremendous amount of productivity in the life of fish. And it says, and the mazal of dagim is always connected with blessing and abundance. Number one reason, because they are on the water. No aynara. Once something is outside of the eye, as the Gemara writes, ena beracha mesuya ela bedavar samui min ha'ayin. Beracha is found on things that are hidden from the eye. In other words, the less you talk, the better. The more we talk, the worse. Continues, and it says, Be'ena kelala shora badagim le'olam, and curses never fall on the fish, especially if we talk about the Mabul, the flood that affected the time of Noah and his family, that literally wiped out mankind, and the animals, only the good ones survived, but the fish was not affected by it at all. Why? Shelo ishhitu et darkam. The fish was the only type of creature that remained faithful to its own type. All other animals have blemishes. That's why the Teva will only agree to accept creations, in other words, animals that remain faithful to its own type. An animal that had a mixed breeding, exactly, was not allowed. The doors of the Teva will not open. The fish, it happened exactly the opposite. They never mingle, they never mix, they never breed it, and they remain faithful. And so is the mazal of Am Israel. Am Israel is connected to the fish. Like the fish can only live in the water, also Am Israel can only live in the Torah. What will happen if you take a fish from the water? What happens if a Yehudi doesn't learn Torah or doesn't have Torah life? What happens with him or her? Lost, literally assimilation. And it says the same way that the fish are fruitful and become multiplied in this month, also the Torah of Am Israel is also increased in this month. Why? First of all, Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom was born on the 7th of Adar and passed away on the 7th of Adar. And Moshe Rabbeinu is connected to the Torah. Not only that, when it came to the celebration of Purim, if you look in the Megillat Esther, the Pasuk says at the end, Kibelu v'kiyemu ha-Yehudim. The Jews accepted, fulfilled and accepted what the Torah. The Gemara asks, what does that mean? It says, Kiyemu ma shekiblu kebar. They reinforced their commitment. We made a commitment last week's Torah portion, Mishpatim, and we said Na'aseh v'nishma. But that was, in a way, talking. In the miracle of Purim, was out of conviction. You can determine ir'ah, ahava. You did it because you have nothing else to do. So you accepted it. Now in Purim, you made your own decision and understanding that divorcing, God forbid, from our Torah and not listening to Mordechai, as the Gemara writes, Mordechai bedoro, Moshe bedoro. Mordechai Tzaddik was the Moshe Rabbeinu of his days. In other words, the Zohar says that in every generation there is an essence of Moshe Rabbeinu that lives in that generation. It's not me for sure. I know myself, you don't know me yet. Believe me, I know. I'm a junior. But they're great Talmidei Hachamim. I gained a couple of pounds since Sukkot. Yeah, I'm getting there, true. Anyways, in a more serious note, that's what the Gemara says. Mordechai HaSaddiq had the ear of the entire nation, like Moshe Rabbeinu, alav shalom. And that's, it says here that this particular month was given to the sons of Rachel, as the pasuk I quoted before, Beitgu larov lekerev haares, and every one of them. Interesting, he adds another interesting concept that every month, you know the horoscope, the zodiac signs, the month of Adar belongs to Pisces, fish. But interesting enough, every symbol of the zodiac sign, which is based, the original zodiac was based in the Mazal of the Torah. For example, Aries, right? That's the month of Nisan. Why? Korban Pesach, the lamb. That's simple. Okay? Virgo, what is that? The virgin. That's the month of Elul. Betula, that's the siman of Elul. Leon, Chodesh Av, Sha'be Av. Then you have the Tishrei, which one is it? The scales. Which one is it in English? Baruch Hashem, I don't follow the horoscope, so I don't know many of them. But let's talk about Pisces. This is the only symbol of the entire zodiac sign that has two fishes. It's not one fish. Mazal Adar Dagim. This is, by the way, is a segula to find your shidduch, the month of Adar. For those watching and listening, pray for shidduchim, because the dagim is the shidduch. What is the dagim? To be fruitful. How can you be fruitful? If you get married. So get married and you'll be fruitful. Don't try nothing else outside of marriage, just in case. There are people that have ideas. Which obviously is not the time and place to discuss them. So we bless all the single young men and young ladies, the Be'ezat Hashem, and even those that are not that young, Be'ezat Hashem, Hashem should help them to find the suitable zibuk and the suitable match. That is the concept of te'umim. Te'umim means twins. Te'om. Te'om means te'umim. In English, it means twins. And it says, not only that, the month of Adar is the only month in the Jewish calendar that has two Adars. No other month in the calendar has two Adar, but actually Adar. I actually was born in Adar Bet, not in Adar Aleph, which I'm happy to say that because it means that I celebrate my birthday every 4 years. So instead of being 51 or 52, I could be 18 or 19 in true years of life based on the calculation of the Jewish calendar. So this is, in a way, what we mentioned, the idea of the month of Adar. We spoke about Simcha. I will finish perhaps with a beautiful statement from Megillat Esther. The Pasuk says, "Ve'achodesh asher nehefach lahem miyagon lesimcha ume'evel leyom tov." The month that was earmarked for tragedy, for darkness, for anguish, Borei Olam reversed it to be what? Yemei mishteh besimcha, a day of celebration and a day of happiness. So definitely the mazal of the world is not in the proper path. The mazal of the world has a whole world, especially with the virus, and besides all the political and war and missiles against in Israel. I don't know, they talk about a ceasefire, but between Shaharit, Mincha, and Arvit, they already sent 600-700 missiles. I don't know what kind of ceasefire is, but okay. But B'ezrat Hashem, let's hope and pray that all the fear that exists in the world, somebody told me yesterday that came from New York, and 98% of the passengers were wearing masks. Pashut. Out of precaution. B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem should help everybody to find the solution to this terminal condition, God forbid, and those affected by it, Hashem should give him refuah shelema, and to the whole picture of the world. Because at the end of the day, Rabotai, what happens to Am Israel, like it or not, it has a direct domino effect in the entire world. When, God forbid, the anti-Semites and throughout history, they blame the Jewish people for many different things, they are not too far away from the reality. They say it in the wrong way. We're saying it in the good way. Whatever a Yehudi does, it can bring the salvation, can bring the solution, and the peace and harmony to the world. May everybody have a Chodesh Tov, Besiman Tov, Eliyahu Navi Zachur Letov. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.